Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Let's take another look at Bitcoin and see what's going on. We're right here at about 85,000. Wicked up to sweep about half of our liquidation at 86.5 and on its way back down. So we're going to take a quick look here at the back end, kind of see where we're at with the liquidation, kind of go from there. And also, if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Thanks again for being an awesome part of my life. We had a lot of new subscribers come aboard yesterday. And if you're not familiar, I have a Trading Academy community signals group. Feel free to reference that if you'd like. We took some decent profits here, not exactly yesterday morning, but the day before, 26% from a Bitcoin short. And then last week was really good for some Solana Bitcoin and AVAX longs. I'm leaning more towards an AVAX long here, but I want to make sure that we're at a bottom for Bitcoin. And I don't feel like we are. Let's just double check this here. First of all, taking a look here, we can see 86 to 87,000, some local liquidation, about half that again took care of there. We can see some late shorts at about 88.5 and 87.5. Keep in mind, folks, these aren't people that took shorts at that level. That's where their stop loss is. But that basically implies that their leverage amount is higher because the closer the leverage or liquidation level is, the more leverage you're using. That's essentially how it works if you're not familiar. Either way you look at it, we got a lot of low leverage shorts between 92 and 90K. That's more along the smarter lines. In fact, when I took a short here recently, the one that we took on profit on Sunday, my stop loss was closer to 90,000 as well. Once more, lower leverage trades, you can do that. Having said that, liquidation delta, we're tapering off. We were at about 15 billion a few days ago. Now we're down closer to about 7 or 8. This is good. This is very good. In fact, this is what you want to see when the price action is due to continue higher, because it shows that there is a little bit more bears trying to get in here, and that more likelihood of them getting squeezed out. I'm not proposing we're going to see the price shoot up from here, but I can tell you that liquidation delta kind of tapering off gives us that calming effect before the next leg up, and it's usually a very good sign. You typically see that pullback before the price comes and bounces off a key level support, which right now, just so you know, is right around the $83,000 range. I'll show you here on the charts in a minute. Open interest here. Take a look here really quick. We can see there's a pretty big gap between the 84.5, or roughly just say more like 85,000. There's a significant amount of open interest at 85K. Those are some longs here entering the market recently. And then there's a big gap down as low as 83,000. So this little area here has potential to get filled. I do think we are probably more likely to see the price pull back to 83,000 from that alone. In other words, we don't see a ton of longs in that area, and there's a bit of a gap. Oftentimes, gaps are filled. Even though that's not like an official CME gap or anything of that sort, it is definitely important to recognize. So, take a look here at the daily time frame. We are above our descending trend line. We're maintaining above 50 on the RSI, or the SMA rather, for some time now. We are also above 50 on the RSI. These are all generally favorable signs telling us that we're probably going to go up. And again, we've seen this happen like 5 times this year. I think I'll have to double check and count, but every time the price comes up to this type of like false positive area, the price will rip back down. So outside of manipulation from a technical standpoint, the daily time frame looks pretty good. Okay, that's the simple way to understand it. And that's usually what should incentivize you to consider a long, because of the simple fact that the larger time frames, we've finally broken that descending trend. While we haven't officially established higher highs yet, we are essentially creating higher lows and higher highs in smaller time frames, and all that's adding up to breaking the macro descending trend line. So those are usually favorable things here. Taking a look at the 4 hour, we can recognize a very similar scenario here. Money flow index is below the RSI. I don't love that. Usually implies that we have potential for pullback, just based on the simple fact that there's money coming away from this coin the last 14 candles versus coming in. So it's kind of like I wouldn't say a false positive, but it's a good indication early, but it can be a false positive if you are looking at that like on a Monday morning, for example, when there's a low volume weekend. Different strategies there, of course, on how you look at that. But for me, mostly I see this as somewhat of a divergence. It's certainly not a hidden divergence, as some people like to say. But for the most part, it's certainly letting us know that continuation lower would make sense here. Furthermore, too, looking at the hourly, we can recognize this as well, that we are kind of shifting momentum. If we look at the Ichimoku cloud, it's confirming that we're still above the cloud, which is great. Don't get me wrong. 84.5 is like kind of that upper range. But if we look at the lagging span, the conversion line, the baseline, there's a lot of reasons why we're kind of shifting gears here. However, until we close below, or just say get below this 84.5 mark, there's a decent chance we do go higher, mainly because we're in an ascending trend. We're establishing higher highs and higher lows here, and we can also recognize that 84,700, roughly 84.5, easy round number to remember, is our local point of control. So we see some control here in that range. If we lose that, we'd be below the cloud and likelihood of further downside. So I think we're going to have a propensity to retest 83,000 or lower if we lose this local point of control. So that's kind of what we're looking for. So me personally, if we see Bitcoin closing below 84.5 or roughly 84.5 or 84.7 in that range, then I would maybe lean more towards going down with the price action than going up with it. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm referring to there. Obviously, what I mean is taking a short versus taking a long. So at this point, it's usually best to kind of wait and see what happens here, because buying this kind of dip is fairly risky, but also shorting into potential support is also risky as well. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at there. And yesterday, congrats to those who read through my trade alerts. Along from 83,000, 85,000, they took some nice profits on that. Congrats there. I didn't quite get in because I was analyzing the charts and the price took off on us before I could get into our long. But it's nice that that's working out for some folks. So well done there. I appreciate the awesome positive feedback too as well from those who've been following me for a while, even those who are newer. Welcome on board once more. We'll look forward to work with you. Make sure you check out our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord too. I post all of my playout charts there, daily updates, and a lot of important things I think are super good to be mindful of. All right, folks. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you the next one. Take care of yourself out there. Bye-bye.